The human soul is one of the most mysterious and debated phenomena in human history. Many philosophers, religious authorities, and scientists have tried to understand and explain the nature of the soul. One of the interesting aspects of this question is whether the soul has any mass. There have been several experiments and researches that have attempted to determine the mass of the soul, the most famous being the 1907 experiment by American physician Dr. Duncan McDougall. In this article, we will look at various experiments and opinions on the mass of the soul that refute and confirm this theory. Have you ever wondered how much the human soul weighs? Apparently, this riddle has puzzled mankind for centuries. There is no definitive answer to this question because the existence of the soul has not yet been proven. Yet there are many theories and speculations about what the soul represents and whether it can have any weight at all. While some philosophers and theologians assume that the soul is an immaterial, immortal entity that outlives the body, others consider the soul to be a kind of function of the brain. This debate has not yet produced a clear winner and will probably continue to be controversial. Some even believe that the soul does not exist at all and is merely a figment of the human imagination. However, the question of the existence and nature of the soul remains very important to many people because it is deeply rooted in our understanding of life and death. In many cultures and religions, the soul is regarded as something material. We encounter the concept of the soul in Egyptian mythology, where it was believed that a person's soul was weighed after death and its weight determined whether they would go to paradise or hell. Also in Hinduism, there is the idea that the soul has a weight and is transferred to a new body at rebirth. In Christianity, the soul is often seen as something immortal that passes into the afterlife after death. Although there is no specific information about how much the human soul weighs, the concept of the soul on a scale shows the deep belief of many cultures and religions in the importance of the soul to life and death. Some of these approaches involve the study of brain activity, while others rely on psychological theories and models. Modern science has also made advances in imaging that allow scientists to gain deeper insight into the workings of the brain. Although there is still much to explore, these modern methods have already allowed us to better understand how our minds work and how they interact with our bodies and minds. It is important to emphasize that the mind is a complex phenomenon and that its study requires an interdisciplinary approach. When we talk about the weight of the human soul, it is inevitable that we also talk about death. Some researchers have addressed the question of whether death actually has an effect on body weight. Experiments have been carried out in which people have been weighed before and after death. Some studies have shown that there is indeed a slight weight loss after a person dies. However, other research has found no significant differences in body weight. Dr. Duncan McDougall was an American physician from Massachusetts who addressed the issue of soul weight in the early 20th century. His hypothesis was that if the soul exists, it should have a certain mass. To test his hypothesis, he conducted an unusual experiment. McDougall conducted his experiment on 6 critically ill patients. For each patient, he weighed their bodies just before and just after death. He used a special scale to measure the weight with an accuracy of plus or minus 5.6 grams. According to the results of the experiment, all 6 patients experienced a slight weight loss, which averaged 21 grams. McDougall attributed this weight loss to the departure of the soul from the body. Despite the interest in the results of McDougall's experiment, his research was often criticized. One of the main reasons was the lack of precision of the measurements and the small sample size of the patients. In addition, some scientists point out that weight loss may be caused by other processes that take place in the body after death. A few years after McDougall's experiment, a Berlin physician, Dr. Martins Becker, decided to repeat the experiment. Becker used state-of-the-art equipment and had 2,000 test subjects at his disposal. The result of the new research was the same as McDougall's. The body lost 21 grams in weight after the cessation of consciousness was recorded in the brain. Despite the repetition of McDougall's experiment, the scientific community remains skeptical. Many scientists point to possible flaws in the methodology of both experiments, pointing out that the insufficient sample of patients and the imprecision of the measurements call into question the validity of the conclusions. As for the question of how much the human soul weighs, many theories and speculations remain. However, what we actually know is very limited. For materialists, there may never be sufficient scientific evidence to prove the existence of the soul at all, let alone to determine its weight. Yet the subject remains unanswered for many people, whether for spiritual or philosophical reasons. It is also of great importance to research in neuroscience and psychology, as it helps to expand our understanding of human consciousness and experience of this world. Scientific research on the weight of the soul remains ambiguous. Although some experiments suggest the possibility of weight loss after death, most scientists agree that these results cannot be clearly attributed to the weight of the soul. Alternative explanations, such as loss of body fluids or changes in biochemical processes, may also contribute to weight loss after death. The concept of the soul is and will remain a matter of philosophy, religion, and spirituality rather than scientific inquiry. Although science cannot unequivocally confirm or deny the existence of the soul, many people still maintain a belief in the soul as an immaterial and immortal essence of man that transcends the limits of the material body. One thing is certain: the human soul, whether it weighs 21 grams or not, this mystery remains an unsolved topic that will continue to inspire philosophers, religious authorities, scientists, and ordinary people in their search for answers to questions about the nature of human existence.